A wild predator lost her family in the harsh Arizona desert. She found it again in the one creature she was meant to hunt. The sun baked the Arizona dust. It warmed the terracotta tiles of the Miller family's home. Inside, in a patch of morning light, a tiny kitten slept. Her name was Willow. She was nestled against warm spotted fur. This fur did not belong to a house cat. It belonged to Luna, a wild bobcat. She had tufted ears and sharp golden eyes. Every morning, the Miller family found them like this, the small orphaned kitten and her wild protector. Two different hearts beating as one. Their bond was a mystery. It was a story of two broken souls. They came from different worlds. They had found a family where no one thought it was possible. The October wind blew across the desert. It carried the smell of sage and creosote. It whispered through the bushes that separated the wild from the town. In a quiet suburb, the Miller family lived. Their house was a warm beacon against the evening sky. Sarah Miller stood at her kitchen window. She watched the sun paint the mountains copper and violet. She did not know her family's quiet life was about to change forever. Sarah was a retired teacher. Her auburn hair was streaked with silver. She lived with her husband, Mark. He was a quiet veterinarian close to retirement. Their daughter, Chloe, was 23. She had recently come home after graduating from university. Their home had always been a peaceful place, but lately it felt too still. That changed 3 weeks ago. Chloe had rushed through the front door. She was holding something small and fragile. "Mom, Dad, I couldn't just leave her," Chloe had said. Her eyes were filled with tears. In her hands was a kitten. It was so tiny it could fit in a teacup, a trembling ball of brown fur. She had 4 perfect white paws. Her eyes were not yet green or gold. They were somewhere in between. A neighbor, Mrs. Gable, had found the kitten under her porch. It was crying from hunger and fear. The local shelters were full. It had been a difficult season for kittens. Chloe could not leave the tiny creature alone. Mark, the veterinarian, examined the kitten. His hands were gentle and practiced. "She's barely 5 weeks old," he said. "She's malnourished, but she's healthy." He was already getting the special formula she would need. They named her Willow. Her warm brown coat reminded Sarah of autumn leaves from her childhood. The first weeks were a blur. They fed Willow with a bottle every 3 hours. They gave her gentle baths to wash away the desert dust. They had sleepless nights when Willow cried for the mother she had lost. But Willow was a fighter. She grew stronger every day. Her personality began to show. She was shy at first. She hid behind furniture and startled at loud noises. But she had a huge heart. Once you trusted you, she would curl up on your chest. She would purr so hard, her whole body would vibrate. By the 3rd week, Willow had made the house her own. She claimed Mark's favorite armchair. She loved the sunny spot on the living room rug. Most of all, she loved the bench by the back patio door. From there, she could watch the desert at dusk. It was on one of these evenings that everything changed. Chloe was helping her mother in the kitchen. They were making a hearty stew. The house smelled of roasted peppers. Mark was in his study looking at files from his clinic. Willow was at her post by the patio door. Her tail twitched as she watched a bird in the backyard. Then they heard a sound, a soft thud on the wooden deck outside. It was too heavy for a cat. It was too quiet for a person. "Mom, did you hear that?" Chloe asked. She put down the spoon she was using. Sarah frowned. She wiped her hands on her apron. "Probably just a javelina. They've been around more lately." But Chloe was already walking toward the patio door. She was curious. Her mother warned her to be careful, but what she saw made her stop. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Mom," she whispered. Her voice was a mix of fear and wonder. "Come here, slowly." Sarah joined her daughter, her breath caught in her throat. There, just a few feet from their glass door, sat a bobcat. The wild cat was beautiful and terrifying. It was bigger than a house cat, with a short bobbed tail. Its ears had black tufts at the tips. Its coat was spotted and striped, but it was thin. You could see its ribs. Patches of fur were missing. One ear was torn. It was clear the bobcat had lived a hard life.
But its eyes held them captive. They were golden and intelligent. They were filled with a deep sadness, a kind of longing. "Get your father," Sarah whispered. She could not look away from the predator. "Tell him to bring the phone. We need to call animal control." But Chloe did not move. "Mom, look! Look at what she's doing!" The bobcat had settled on the deck. It sat like a statue. Its gaze was not on the humans inside. It was looking at something lower. Sarah followed its gaze. She gasped. Willow was pressed against the glass door. Her little white paw touched the glass. On the other side, the bobcat's nose touched the same spot. Mark appeared beside them. He saw the scene. He immediately reached for his phone. But as he dialed, he muttered, "In 30 years of practice, I've never seen anything like this." The animal control officer arrived. His name was Dave Chen. He was a sturdy man who had seen many things in the desert. He was also confused. He expected the bobcat to run when his truck pulled up. Instead, she just moved slightly. She never took her eyes off the door. "She's not acting aggressive," Officer Chen said. He looked at the animal through binoculars. "Doesn't seem sick either. It's like she's waiting." He set a humane trap with raw chicken inside. He promised to come back in the morning. But the next day, the trap was empty. The chicken was untouched. The bobcat was curled up in a corner of the deck. She was keeping watch. This went on for 3 days. The bobcat would leave during the hot part of the day, but every evening she returned. She always sat in the same spot. She always watched the door with those haunting eyes. Willow seemed to love it. She was not scared. She spent hours at the door meowing softly, as if they were talking. On the 4th day, Officer Chen returned. He brought Dr. Anya Sharma from the Arizona Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. Dr. Sharma was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She was famous for understanding animal behavior. She watched the bobcat for a long time. She made notes on a tablet. Finally, she turned to the Miller family. They were watching from a safe distance. "How long has she been coming here?" Dr. Sharma asked. 4 days now, same thing every night," Mark replied. Dr. Sharma nodded. "I want to check something. May I see your kitten?" The Millers were confused, but they trusted her. Sarah brought Willow to the window. The kitten cried, sad to be taken from her post. When Dr. Sharma held Willow up to the glass, the bobcat's behavior changed completely. She stood up. A soft chirping sound came from her throat. It was not a growl. It was a sound a mother makes. "I thought so," Dr. Sharma said quietly. She turned to Mark. Mr. Miller, in your professional opinion, how old is this kitten? Mark thought for a moment. About 8 weeks now. We've had her for 3. And you found her abandoned? Yes, our neighbor found her under her porch. Dr. Sharma gently put Willow down. The kitten ran right back to the door. I think I know what is happening, Dr. Sharma said. This bobcat recently lost a kitten, or maybe several kittens. Look, you can see signs that she was recently nursing. Her grief and her maternal instincts are very strong. She knows Willow is not her own kitten. Bobcats are smart, but she is drawn to her. She paused. There is a highway a few miles from here. We've had reports of animals being hit by cars. I suspect that is where she lost her litter. The family felt a wave of sadness. Sarah imagined the wild mother searching for her lost babies. What do we do? Mark asked. Dr. Sharma thought carefully. Normally, we would trap and relocate her. It's for everyone's safety. But this is a unique case. She is not aggressive. She is showing incredible restraint. I have an idea, but it's not conventional. Would you be willing to work with us on a special project? And so, an extraordinary partnership began. It took a lot of work. The Miller family had to sign papers and pass home inspections. It felt like they were adopting a child, not fostering a wild animal. They officially became wildlife rehabilitation volunteers. The bobcat needed a name. Chloe started calling her Luna, after the moon that watched over the desert at night. First, they had to make sure Luna was healthy. They carefully sedated her for a full medical exam. Mark helped Dr. Sharma. He was amazed at the bobcat's wild power. His heart ached when he saw the proof of her recent loss.
She's about 3 years old, Dr. Sharma said after the exam. She's healthy, but very thin. The scars show she has been wandering into neighborhoods for a while. She was probably looking for her kittens. The next step took a lot of patience. They built a large, secure enclosure in the backyard. They turned part of their garage into a special shelter. It had one-way glass so they could watch Luna without disturbing her. The goal was not to tame Luna. That would be impossible and cruel. The goal was to give her a safe place to heal. For the first week, Luna paced the enclosure. She checked every corner for a way out. She ignored the food they left for her. She only drank water when she thought no one was watching. Meanwhile, Willow spent all her time at the window that looked into the enclosure. She meowed sadly. Maybe this was a mistake, Sarah said one night. Willow had not eaten her dinner. We're just making everyone miserable. But Mark was patient. Healing takes time, he told his wife, for all of them. The breakthrough happened on the 10th day. Chloe was sitting quietly outside the enclosure. She was reading a book. She talked softly to the evening air. She talked about her classes, her dream of being a wildlife photographer, and the beauty of the desert after a rain. Suddenly, she heard a soft chirp from inside the enclosure. She looked up. Luna was sitting near the fence. Her golden eyes were not focused on Chloe. They were looking past her. Chloe followed her gaze. She saw Willow at the house window, her paw pressed against the glass. "Mom, Dad," Chloe called softly, "come see this." What happened next was a carefully planned introduction. Dr. Sharma supervised everything. First, they let Willow into a small area connected to the main enclosure. A fence still separated them. Willow ran to the fence. She purred so loudly they could hear it from 10 feet away. Luna approached slowly. Her body was tense with hope and caution. She reached the fence. She lowered her head and sniffed the tiny kitten. Then, she did something that made everyone cry. She began to groom Willow through the fence. Her rough tongue carefully cleaned the kitten's ears. "Remarkable," Dr. Reeves whispered. "In 20 years, I've never seen anything like this." It took 2 more weeks to fully integrate them. They allowed supervised visits. Luna was a wild predator, but she was incredibly gentle with Willow. She would pick the kitten up by the scruff of her neck, just like she would her own baby. She would carry her to sunny spots in the enclosure. Willow showed no fear. She often tried to nurse, even though Luna's milk was gone. The real test was bringing Luna inside the house. The family was nervous. They expected her to be scared or aggressive. Instead, Luna followed Willow through the door. She moved cautiously. Her ears twitched at every new sound, but she followed. "She's choosing this," Dr. Sharma observed. "It goes against all her instincts, but she is choosing it for the kitten." That first night was tense. They had set up a large dog crate in the living room. Luna ignored it. She went to the cushioned bench by the patio door. It was Willow's favorite spot. She curled up, and Willow snuggled against her belly. Sarah found them there the next morning. The sun streamed through the window. It lit up a scene from a fairy tale. Luna's powerful body was curled around Willow's tiny one. A large paw rested gently on the kitten. Both were fast asleep. Sarah grabbed her camera. She took the picture that would one day hang over their fireplace. The weeks that followed were a time of adjustment. Luna had to learn the rhythm of a human house. She learned about meal times. She got used to the sound of the television. She learned about people coming and going. There were small problems. A couch cushion was shredded when a door slammed. A tense moment happened when the neighbor's dog barked too close to the fence. But slowly, she adapted. Dr. Sharma visited every week. "What you've done here is amazing," she told the family. "Luna can never be fully wild again. She has lost the deep fear that keeps wild animals safe, but she has found something else here." "A family," Chloe said softly. She was watching Willow playfully attack Luna's tail. The big bobcat patiently swished it back and forth. The story of Willow and Luna spread. Researchers and photographers wanted to visit, but the Miller family was protective. This was not a zoo, it was a home. As winter came, the bonds in the house grew stronger. Luna became attached to each family member. She would sit beside Mark while he read his veterinary journals. She would rest her broad head on his knee. She followed Sarah in the kitchen. She learned that good behavior earned her small pieces of raw chicken. She seemed to understand Chloe's moods. She would sit with the young woman as she studied, offering silent comfort.
But her truest self was saved for Willow. Luna taught the kitten how to hunt, not real prey, but toy mice that Chloe dragged across the floor. She groomed Willow with endless patience. She tolerated the kitten's sharp claws and wild energy. At night, they were always together. They curled up on their bench like two puzzle pieces that shouldn't fit, but did. "They saved each other," Sarah said one evening. She watched them play in the dim light. Willow gave Luna a reason to trust again, and Luna gave Willow the mother she lost. Life was more complicated now. The Millers had to keep special permits. Their home was inspected regularly. Their insurance was more expensive. Vacations were hard to plan, but they never regretted it. "How can you regret love?" Mark would say. "Yes, it's difficult, but look at them. Look what they've taught us about healing, about second chances." Willow grew from a tiny kitten into a sleek young cat. She was still small next to Luna. Some people worried Luna's love would fade as Willow grew up, but their bond only grew deeper. It changed from a mother-child bond to one of deep companionship. They had their own language of chirps and purrs. They played games that no human could understand. Luna taught Willow to climb the tall cat towers in the garage. Willow taught Luna about the joy of catnip and warm heating pads on cold nights. Dr. Sharma documented everything. "What we're learning here challenges our ideas about wild animals," she explained on a visit. "It challenges what we know about love and connection." Luna and Willow are rewriting the textbooks. For the Millers, the science was interesting, but the daily miracle was what mattered. There was the morning Luna carried Willow to Sarah. The kitten had an upset stomach. Luna was clearly asking for help. There was the afternoon Chloe saw them watching a lizard through the patio glass. Luna was giving a hunting lesson. There was the night a huge storm shook the house. Mark found Luna standing over a terrified Willow. She was using her big body to shield the little cat from the thunder. When they had been together for a year, the Miller family had a small party. The staff from the Wildlife Center came. Dr. Sharma raised a glass of wine. Her eyes were bright. "To second chances," she said, "to the bonds that heal us, and to the reminder that true love has no limits." Just then, Luna appeared in the doorway. Willow was riding on her back like a tiny jockey. The room filled with laughter. Luna and Willow did not seem to notice. They only had eyes for each other. They walked to their sunny spot on the bench where their story truly began. Later that night, the house was quiet. Sarah stood in the living room. She watched Luna and Willow's nightly routine. The bobcat carefully groomed the smaller cat. Willow purred, a sound that filled the silent house. Then they curled up together on their bench, the wild and the domestic, united in perfect trust. Mark came and put his arm around his wife. "No regrets?" he asked softly. Sarah leaned against him. She thought about their changed lives, the worry, the work, the joy, the thousand small moments that had woven these two animals into their family. "No regrets," she said. She watched Willow stretch and burrow deeper into Luna's embrace. How could we regret being chosen by love? Outside, the desert wind sang. Inside, two hearts beat together. One wild, one domestic. Both were finally home. The Miller family had witnessed something sacred. They saw that love could cross any boundary and heal any wound. Years later, Chloe published a book of her photographs. The book made their story famous. In it, she wrote, "Luna came to us looking for what she had lost. Willow came to us needing what she had never had. In finding each other, they gave us all something we didn't know we were missing. They gave us proof that love knows no species, no boundaries, no limits. Just two souls finding home in each other's hearts." In a world that often felt harsh and divided, the story of an orphaned kitten and a grieving bobcat was a gentle reminder. The most beautiful connections come from the most unlikely places. Family is not always about blood. Sometimes it is about choosing to love again and again against all odds. The photograph still hangs over the Miller family's fireplace. Luna and Willow bathed in morning sunlight, a testament to an extraordinary love. And for everyone who hears their story, the message is clear. In a vast and sometimes lonely world, love always finds a way.